Hey friends, welcome to this week's edition of the American Mussar Community Gathering. This week we will be starting to explore the sole trait of order. And so I don't forget to say this later. Next week we will not be meeting as I will be in Sweden visiting my younger daughter. But I will be back next week, which will be during Passover, but we'll still meet. And what better topic to cover than order during Passover? Because of course the Hebrew word for order is
Later. Yeah.
Seder. And and we'll probably talk a little bit about Passover and also talk about order. But for now, let us all relax in our chairs and close our eyes and take in a deep breath through the nose and hold, and exhale through the mouth and hold, and inhale through the nose and hold, and exhale through the mouth and hold. As we go at our own pace of inhaling through the nose and holding, and exhaling through the mouth and holding. If thoughts should come into your head, just observe them and let them pass. Like watching a car pass by on the road. Now is not the time for solving problems. Right now, all we need to do is inhale through the nose and hold, and exhale through the mouth and hold. And on your next inhale, say to yourself, Shema, and on the exhale, listen. Shema, listen. In Shema, we're listening deeply, without judgment, without offering advice. In Shema, we're listening with an open heart. Shema, listen. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. Let's see, we've been joined by Carrie. Hello. Ron, I don't know if I've said hi to you yet, or Sarah, or Marianne, and Marion Schwartz. So hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Please feel free to participate as much or as little as you like. But this is a drop-in group, so at any level of participation is welcome. Okay, so
Thank you.
okay, so as we get started, we're going to talk about the mantra for order, which is from Pirkei Avot, first things first, then last things later. And many of you may remember our good friend Carol Emmerich, um, who died, what was it, Janet, like 2 years ago now?
Yes, yes. Maybe a little more, Greg.
Yeah, a little
She
more.
was ill and she hung in there for she fought that for a long
Yeah,
time.
she did. Yeah, Carol passed away of cancer, and their first and only loss in the group so far. But she had a fantastic sense of humor, and so what she said was, first things first, and last things never. So, but let's talk about this idea of first things first and last things later, or never, or at some undisclosed nebulous time. What is this kind of, how does this speak to you or not speak to you? Yeah, Joanne, if you could remember to unmute, please.
Like my mother,
My mother always said, and Marie Kondo and everybody else, I mean, you just got to start somewhere. So you should start with the most important thing and, maybe make small packages of what, like don't try to do everything at one time. I tend to get distracted and start doing other things. Like I was supposed to be doing the bottom cabinet and I did the top cabinet today instead. But at least I did that and it felt good.
Yes.
So,
Thank you, Joanne.
mhm.
Well, my wife is a big fan of the dueling procrastination. So if she's procrastinating for one thing, she'll pick something else semi-important to work on. But we don't talk about Mussar in those circumstances. Janet.
Now, one of the things in Judaism, we're commanded to start, but we're not commanded to finish.
Hmm.
Is that right?
That's, but
And
that's
and
That
I
is, there's a saying from Rabbi Tarfon, yeah,
right.
that we don't have to complete the task, but we're not free to desist from starting it.
and
Right.
today I tackled what I had to do. I want to give a presentation, huge online thing to fill out, and
Mm,
put a dent in it. I didn't finish it,
Hmm.
but it's ahead of where it was yesterday.
mhm.
Good, good, excellent. Other thoughts?
Oh, I always talk.
Yeah, yeah, we'll have Janet and then Sarah. Or Joanne, sorry, Joanne and then Santa.
All right.
Okay.
So I had started a letter that I promised to the synagogue board president yesterday, and I finished it today and sent that. And started, like, we have a bulletin every 2 months, so our deadline is the 19th. But I did something, and I started it, and then I finished it today. So there were about three things like that, and it felt good to finish them. And I started writing up my cancer experience also a few days ago. Haven't finished it, but I have time.
Thank you, Joanne.
Yeah.
Sarah.
Well, this reminds me of a few things. One of them is order, or God is good, orderly direction. This is 12-step stuff.
Mhm.
And then, first things first for me means, well, recently I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, ADHD, because I've had that. And I heard a really good idea that they suggested each day making a list of 3 things that you need to do, just 3 things. Because we all have a lot that we need to do,
Yeah.
and, um, pick the most important thing. And sort of like when I was in graduate school, I would do the hardest thing first thing in the morning, when I have the most energy. And I love first things first and last things never, because a lot of times, the you know, psychologically, if you're on a roll with anxiety or whatever, um, you could be, really on a roll and worrying, and then it never comes to be. So I like the last things never, because a lot of times what we worry about never comes to be. So it's sort of like just do the next right thing.
Yeah, that's good. There's it reminds me when I used to coach people in the corporate world, who'd be really overworked, I would say, write down everything that you're working on and put it in priority order, and then draw a line under the third thing. And go to your manager and tell them you're only going to work on these top three and get them to buy in. And then if somebody showed up and said, hey, can you come to this emergency meeting about number 5 on the list? Then you could say, hey, I'm sorry, my manager has me working on something else. I cannot come to this meeting. but I can give you 5 minutes right now. And usually that 5 minutes is really all they needed. They needed you to answer one question. And rather than, or I can come to a, if you really need me at a meeting, let's schedule it for next week. And then for that next week. So not all of us are in the working world right now, but this sort of idea of making lists and setting priorities and figuring out what you're going to do, I think is a great order practice. Kaya.
Well, I'm sorry to ask this question, but I don't know if you noticed I was like fidgeting all around because I couldn't hear anybody all of a sudden. And so I don't know what what the question was right now, or what you were trying to say. So if you can just give me a one statement of what we're talking
We're
about.
talking about the mantra, first things first and last things later. Or as Carol Emmerich would say, last things never. So that's what we're talking
Thanks.
about. Ron.
Considering the source, I'm thinking that maybe what they're going at is put God first before anything, and then and then maybe it's your tasks or your list of things to do. But I'm not sure that it is about a list of things to do. I'm thinking it's about, and because of the source, once again, when it was written and who it was written by, that they always like the idea of putting God first. Whatever you're going to do, put God first.
It could be, that's
like
so
that.
interesting you brought that up, Ron, because I almost brought up this idea of there's a kind of a new theology called process theology that I'm starting to learn about. And it started in some of the Christian circles, and now it's really growing in some of the Jewish theologians. But the idea is that God puts before you like a choice, and you can sort of take that better path or not. And whatever path you take, that moves the process forward. And then you get another choice that you can do. And so you're always given like a better option. That's kind of as best I understand it. So that's kind of a fusion between the to-do list and putting God at the top of your list. Bonnie.
So I missed you all last week. I was driving back from Tahoe, and I can't drive and be on Zoom at the same time. Not such a great idea. So 2 weeks ago, I read the gratitude piece from the Psalm 27 book that I sent to Greg. I don't know if you were able to post it or share it
Yes.
this week. I am a list maker. Most of my friends know that. I have a house that, except for my desk, everything has a place and a place for everything. But I still get overwhelmed by the lists. And that gratitude piece that I got out of the book has made such a difference for me about saying, yeah, you didn't get to this thing today. And, maybe it wasn't the top thing. You don't need that flight from Madison, Wisconsin to Kennedy in September right now. You can just hold it off for another day. But that gratitude piece of acknowledging God, to me has been a way to really get my feet straight in the ground and know where I'm standing.
Thank you. It's so powerful when we can bring, these different practices together. Marianne.
Where can I find the gratitude piece?
I included it in last week's reminder email, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Can you put it up again, Greg? I mean, I could find it, but you're the host and it wouldn't work then. Although I could put it in the chat.
Maybe put it in the chat because I don't have it kind of handy and it would take me a couple minutes.
It will take me too. I can do it.
Yeah.
You're running the meeting.
Thank you, Bonnie. I thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It's a very nice addition. Okay, so let's take this a little bit deeper. May I have a volunteer to unmute and read read this text.
All your actions and possessions should be orderly, each and every one in a set place and set time. Let your thoughts always be free to deal with that which lies ahead of you. Rabbi Lefin of Setenov, that's all. Okay.
Cheshbon
From Cheshbon HaNefesh. Okay. So I'm going to stop the share and I will put this in the chat. So we've been talking about priorities and the importance of setting priorities. Let's see, where's the chat? Here it is. Thank you. Thank you, Bonnie, for sharing that. Okay, so what is this teaching? How does this speak to you? What is this adding to the conversation about priority? Yeah, Carrie.
Well, I've spent my whole life trying to do this, be orderly and each and everything set in place and set time. And sometimes I succeed and sometimes I don't. And I've adopted a new way of trying to be orderly. And this is from William Morris. Have nothing in your house you don't believe to be useful nor to be beautiful. That has helped me find places for, I mean, I try every day. I say to myself, okay, we're going to find a home for everything in this house, which means we throw most of it out. But
find new homes for it.
Find new homes. That's what finding new homes for everything. But I really do believe that that gives your brain space to be creative in other endeavors. It gives you breathing room. It's your whole body reacts differently if your space is orderly and neat, and you can find things. You don't waste so much time being frustrated by looking for stuff, which is more of a problem at our age than it used to be. So I'm like, I should like plaster that up on every single mirror in the house.
Or at least for the next 3 weeks. We work on this ultra, and then it can be then that too can be removed from the house to beautify it.
If we took a camera and showed you what this living space looks like, you guys would just die. It's just, ugh.
You know, I have to say, I'm looking around, and this is really like, there's so many papers from writing my thesis still around, and little scraps and printouts of chapter drafts. And I've been thinking, I really have to like clean this up because I do have trouble finding things. And it is just the clutter creates stress. So this is my commitment, is I will do that this weekend. I will get this all cleaned up before my class at 1:45 on Sunday. Toby.
Like so many other people, I have the clutter issue, and I collect art and I collect antiquities, and I help other people to buy and invest in those things. And so consequently, I have a lot of stuff. And my watchword for how to decide, so I'm perpetually going through everything. Every month or two, I go through things. And my mantra for that is, do you love it? Because if you don't love it, somebody else might. And I found for me, that's because if it's just like, oh, well, it was on sale, or, you know, it's a Giorgio Armani, or like, but that doesn't mean, do you love it? Do you wear it? Do you use it? And those three questions really helped me to make those moves. And some of it, you know, is sentimental things that I get from my parents, and both of my parents are deceased. And those are harder to get rid of. But I've even been able to use those questions to give those pieces a new home too. So maybe that will help someone else. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby. Yeah, Nancy, and then Chaya.
Toby, you said, do you love it? Do you use it? Or what was the third one?
Oh, you had to ask me that.
Because, you know, I've been doing that, but when you mentioned about the sentimental things, that's what gets me.
It's
And Greg, papers. I have
Papers.
stacks of papers, but they're all in one box. So you don't see them around my house. They're in one area, but I have to file them. But I've gone through a lot of stuff and did that, you know. Is it or what is it beautiful? What is it something?
The third thing is, do you love it? And that's
Yeah.
the most important thing, because
Right.
the other two don't really matter. Do you love it? Do you use it? Do you wear it?
Do you
'Cause I
wear it?
have issues and shoe issues. Thank you for asking though. And that may help. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one when you're talking about clutter, but the whole thing about doing things first, I think we've talked about this in the past, Greg, that I'm so orderly that my life, everything I have to do is finished in 5 minutes. And then I have the whole rest of the day to sit around on my big bum. I mean, it's bad to be too orderly.
Well,
I don't know.
if
I
you
just have
want
to.
to, maybe some people would fly you out to help, you know, declutter their homes, or, you know, uh,
It's just my life is a puzzle, and I like to get everything done just
mhm.
right away so I don't have to think about it. I think it does create chaos in our mind when we have too much clutter also in our mind of what we have to do. It can be overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of part of kind of what Rabbi Leffen is talking about, which is, and there's a whole piece of order, which is having an orderly mind, but it is, you know, that the external world can, being disordered can make it harder to have that orderly mind. Okay, Chaya.
Well, I'm going to start out by Nancy, when would you like to come to Minneapolis? This is going to help me. I'm going to be really brave right now, and I'm going to show you something. Oops, can you guys still see?
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you
yeah.
like that?
Okay.
It's all right.
You know, and
I've seen worse.
well, that's just that section of my living room. I am a multimedia artist. And so I have real difficulty in saying no to things, because I can find, you know, even something like a piece of what do you call this? I forget but that you squish around and be very fine having it around. But it's like, how do I get, or this is a fudge stick, you know, a fudgesicle stick, but it's got words on it that are interesting that I could put on a I can't even think of the word right now. Collage. Thank you. I do all kinds. I do paper collage. I do cloth collage. I do painting. I do, you know, making things. So it's really interesting. This is being really helpful to think about. What does that mean? You know, to have all this everywhere. So thank you for your responses. I'm listening and I'm going, well, maybe I don't have to say I have to clean this room or I have to be orderly, but maybe this pile could be orderly.
Yeah, that's a wonderful Mussar approach. It's not about like, oh, we suddenly need to all become the person who has their everything done right away, but it's based on where we are. What's the right next step? And maybe the right next step is the pile, you know.
One of them, yes.
A pile, yes.
Yeah.
Joanne.
Yes. I would also love for Nancy to come out to New Rochelle. I was thinking the same thing. But I found a couple of things that help, which is one is getting containers of different sizes. So I got a small little basket. So I had all this stuff all over my nightstand. Now it's now in the basket. And as long as I remember to put things back in the basket, I'm good. And then I have a larger one for papers and another one for books. But I also have done that thing about, all right, this pile is a mess. So I threw out some things, but the stuff I wanted to save, I try to put in a neater pile. And it helps. It helps. At least it feels more manageable. Another thing that I heard, I don't know if it's true, but I've done it. It's like if you have like a ton of things on your refrigerator, like magnets and papers and things, to like clean it up and get as little as possible there. And I think that really helps because just walking into the kitchen and not seeing like, a thing shouting at you, helps. And I put some things around the side, that I might want to do, keep, comparing measurements, whatever, or the Blue Cross nurse line or something like that. But
Yeah.
the front of the refrigerator is almost cleared off of everything.
Yeah, and that also is like, okay, well, if you need the nurse line, it's much easier to find, I suspect,
Right,
than when there's all kinds of other stuff there too.
right.
Bonnie.
So I do exactly what Nancy's talking about, but I do go into people's homes and I organize their kitchens and I organize their closets and I organize their financial papers. And the best piece of advice that someone gave me was you don't have to do it all. Start small. Do one shelf and then give yourself a reward. And if a reward happens to be, for me, watching 15 minutes of a show, that's it. And I give rewards. I was a fourth grade classroom teacher. We had stickers. Come on, that was the answer for every fourth and fifth grade kid, boy and girl, no matter what state I taught in. And I had rewards for the teachers when I was head of school. But give yourself a reward, whatever you're not doing, and maybe it shouldn't be food, but start small, and then you're successful. And then do the next small thing. And all of a sudden, it's not just one shelf. The closet's done. Chaya, honestly, it works. I also don't go to bed. I wait 3 nights. I can't go beyond that without cleaning up my desk and filing and getting stuff off. 3 nights.
I want to thank you for that. Part of this is because I had a bad organizer. They didn't help me. All they did was take tub boxes, grocery store boxes, and they put everything. I said, well, can't we go through it as we go through it? I mean, you're throwing all these boxes at me. And that's how it all started. And now it's like, how do I put these all back together? But thank you. One box at a time.
Box at a time, one shelf at a time, one drawer at a time. And the other thing is, and anyone who knows me, if I haven't worn it in the last season, it's going. It's either going to donations or it's going to a consignment shop. But if I didn't wear it, obviously. I had lots of months to do it.
Thank you, Bonnie. Okay, we'll hear from Janet, and then we may dig a little deeper.
Well, pretty funny. I'm sitting here and looking at my desk, and it's piled up with solicitations for charity. Unfortunately, we got hit with a huge tax bill. So that means we're not going to give to charity this month. Well, guess what I did? I threw all of the solicitations for charity into the wastebasket while I sat here.
All right, there we go.
And all of these charities, believe me, will not forget me, right?
Yeah, they will find you again. I think this is a good opportunity to take a look at the spectrum of order, because we've sort of heard this come out And remember, there's no right or wrong place to be. I talk about the extremes, not saying that anyone is at an extreme, but it kind of helps us understand the concept of this spectrum. So if we have too little order, we can tend to have chaos in our life, in our head, on our desk. And if we have too much, it can become, I use the word obsessive here. If I were to rewrite this, I probably wouldn't do that, but it can be very constraining. It can become constraining if everything needs to be kind of exactly and perfectly in the right way. Yes, Ron.
During the Passover holiday, I think a lot of Jewish people tend to get obsessive about their order.
Mm.
And, I can't exactly say why, but if you notice, they go through a extraordinate amounts of trying to create order.
Yeah, well, cleaning is like for traditional Passover practice, you have to clean your house and you got to find every crumb of leavened bread. And so it's
Greg, I think all of that was about getting yourself in order, not so much your house, but the idea of once your house is cleaned, you can get your head right for Passover.
yeah, absolutely. Chametz is also connected to the word for kind of puffiness and arrogance. And so it's like we have to kind of get rid of our own swelled head in the process. It's funny, Passover, there's a lot of like introspection that goes with it, but it's not like traditionally, but it's not something that I think sort of catches on with people. I don't think that's how I've tried doing Passover Mussar events, and it's just not something that people that from my efforts have tried to do, but I'm really happy that you kind of brought that in here because that is a real opportunity. Um, it's kind of a balance from Rosh Hashanah and that reflection. Passover is an opportunity to reflect in the spring. What do we need to do to liberate ourselves from what's holding us back? Okay. Boy, I'm just going to take a peek at the slides here. Decide how I want to do this. I think we'll start heading to the breakout rooms. So, it's this really interesting teaching from Rabbi Nicole Auerbach. May I have a volunteer to read?
I can read it.
Okay.
In our everyday lives, we often employ the midah of order with its rules and rituals to focus on the behaviors we want to cultivate. Through paper journals or applications on our phones, we can track our diet, the number of steps we take, or the amount of time we spend meditating each day. What are some of the current rituals or rules you use to cultivate positive behaviors, and how might you apply them to a current challenge? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to copy and paste that into the chat, and then I will open the breakout rooms. And you'll have a couple minutes to discuss with other folks. There's 2 to 3 in the room, and if you're new, we'll make sure there's 3. So okay, so the rooms are open. Just click accept breakout room.
Greg, I didn't see one. I'm sorry. Somehow I must have.
There is one on your screen, or
There-
it says that you've had one sent to you.
Okay.
Try, if you look under more, if
Yeah.
you click breakout rooms, you're supposed to be in room 3.
I don't see breakout rooms at all. I was gonna have to leave early because I'm running a 5 o'clock Zoom,
Okay,
but I
I
want
can
to
move you to a different room that maybe,
wherever, just put me in. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry.
no apologies needed. Okay,
Great.
how about now? Hey everyone, welcome back. So I'm curious, like, did anyone come up with a ritual or a practice that they would like to share that might be helpful to them? Yes, Nancy, and then Carrie.
I'm sorry. I'm still laughing at the end of our group because I never thought that we would go into taking care of ourselves by working out. I thought a ritual would be like doing the dishes or brushing your teeth or making your bed. And so I got so much insight from, you know what? You need to like take care of yourself. And we spent the whole time basically talking about what ways do we work out. So now I'm inspired
All
to
right,
put that into my ritual of keep moving. I may not work out, but I'm going to keep moving. So thank you, group.
keep moving, love it.
That's good.
Carrie,
Ron brought up a really good discussion about a different kind of order, and the exercise is kind of part has nothing to do with stuff. You know, that everybody, we've all been talking about making things neat and stuff, which is important, but a different kind of order. As soon as you get out of bed, what do you do to make your day positive? And we all have different ways of doing that. I journal, I exercise every day. So we were talking about different types of a whole different spectrum of order that had nothing to do with physical objects, and it was enlightening.
fantastic. Yeah, order encompasses so much. Marianne.
We got somewhat onto the topic of the order of thoughts in our head and how our thoughts can be like all over the place and jumping from one thing to another, which can be problematical. I'm not sure we found a solution, but we did talk about how it would be good to have some kind of order in our thoughts.
Yeah. Thank you, Marianne. Other thoughts from people? Kaya.
It's not specifically about what order, what we're talking about, but I just want to say we had a great time meeting Marcy and orienting her, bringing her into our space here. And I hope that we see her and all of you get a chance to meet her because she's wonderful.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, I'll come on camera.
There she is.
I'm down.
hi there.
Hi.
There you are. Well, that's very sweet. And that's wonderful.
I felt very welcomed
Good.
by Kaya and Joanne. Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm going to share the list of potential actions that we can take. These are from the end of the chapter. And so again, we have first things first, last things later. And would anyone care to read these out loud as potential things that can inspire us. Maybe someone we haven't heard from today or heard from as much.
I'll do it.
Okay, great.
Mantra, first things first and last things later. Schedule a time every day to call someone. Ask yourself where you sit on the spectrum of order. Practice trust by letting go of a situation if you are more structured. Pick one small way to bring more order if you are less structured. Partial cleanups. Planning. Leave something out of place. Unsubscribe from 10 email lists.
That's a good one. I do that every few years. So
I do it every few months
yeah.
when I think of it.
Yeah, it's helpful. Okay, so take a look at this list and our conversation from today and from your breakout groups, and think about one small change that you can make in your life. What is one small practice that you will take on? As I said, I am going to work on cleaning up in my work area here and file the papers that need to be filed and recycle all of my old thesis drafts and things. So what is it over the next couple of weeks that you will work on, either for your internal world or your external world? Of course, meditation is not on this list, but certainly if you want to kind of calm the thoughts, meditation could be a great thing to schedule in, to just plan in a time of quiet. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share. And I'll cut and paste this into the chat so you can cut and paste it yourself if you don't have the book, which is fine. Okay. Now we'll close our sacred space in the way we always do with a short meditation. So once again, relax in your chair and close your eyes. And think about, visualize yourself taking that action. See yourself in the time and place where that action is appropriate. My Sunday morning, I will be in here filing papers. Feel what it's like doing that action. And then feel the calm and satisfaction of completion. And now give yourself a little imagine reading or watching a bit of a show, playing a game, whatever reward you feel is appropriate. Now allow those thoughts and visualizations to go. We'll just take a few moments of silence. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes.